Mike Briggs is our cattle market analyst this week. The cost of all fresh retail beef during May bounced up 2 cents per pound from April, nearly matching the record high set in March. Conversely, the price of ground beef in May dropped nearly 10 cents. The mark of $4.14 per pound was the lowest since September. But as Nebraska Extension's Kate Brooks noted a month ago, beef could be facing increased competition from larger supplies of poultry. Avian influenza has hindered international export markets, leading to an inventory of U.S. chicken stocks at the end of May that were 21% higher than a year ago. And in pork, bacon dropped below $5 a pound in May for the first time since April 2013. We talked with Mike Wednesday morning and asked about domestic beef demand, the outlook for corn costs, and the environment for cattle prices as June closes out.
We've really struggled the last 30 days. We've probably dropped somewhere between $12 and $15 a hundred in cattle price. You know, we were kind of in that $255 to $57 for quite a few weeks, and now we dropped all the way back to $239 last week at times. We're getting to our summer low. Now, maybe we're getting to our summer low earlier than normal, but the fact that we're even doing it is a little perplexing. You've got, you know, slaughter is down considerably, beef supplies are down, and yet we can't seem to support our product very well.
Does that mean that this is a seasonal decline?
I think it is a seasonal decline, but it is surprising to everybody. I think it's even surprising to packers because they had a real fear that there weren't going to be enough cattle out here. But since demand is not very good, now having said that, I'm kind of talking on both sides of my mouth. We've seen beef increase every day this week and several days last week, so that the packer is really making some money right now, which he hasn't had much of a chance, but it's kind of one of those deals he doesn't need to take it all at once. But it's really a perplexing deal right now because there aren't a lot of fat cattle around, and yet we're not really able to move the beef like we would like to. Demand's kind of a mile wide and an inch deep, it seems like.
Where are margins right now in the feedlot?
Not very good, because a lot of the cattle that are going right now are some of your highest price break-evens of the year. And so, you know, if you're 239, 240, you're kind of like a 150 market. And you probably have 156 to 162 type break-evens. So you're getting your nose bladed a little bit. It's not very much fun.
Last time in May we talked about maybe there was some pent-up demand. Do you still think that hit, or did that not come to fruition?
It seems like that was another deal where it was a mile wide and an inch deep, because we did get some demand there for a couple of weeks early in May, and then this thing just kind of started to roll on top of itself because there's just not enough there. You know, competing meats, pork and chicken, my God, pork's almost free, I think. So I think that is hurting us. Yet once again, perplexing deal, you've got gas cheaper than last year, you've got an economy that's allegedly better, and yet we're losing demand for our product, and it's not as high priced as it was last year.
We are seeing some reprieve in certain categories of beef. Do you think that's consumer driven, or is it supply driven?
I really kind of think it's supply driven of certain cuts of meat, because as we know, this is hamburger nation. And I think retailers have figured that out too, and so that's where they've started to make some of their margin, and they've left that high, because that's one thing that last year we saw for sure, that there was just unrelenting demand for hamburger. And the rest of it,
What about the export market for beef?
Export market's going to continue to struggle because of the high value of the dollar relative to other currencies. We've got the best economy in the world. That's not going away anytime soon, I don't think.
Cattle on feed last week showed placements down 10%, marketing is down 8%. Any thoughts you want to relay on that?
Well, we consistently place less cattle throughout the year. So I think the one thing there is you're not going to ever see a real oversupply of cattle anytime going through the end of the year. You know, now we're struggling a little bit. We've got some pretty big show lists right now. But as we go through the year, the numbers are not going to show up here probably until next spring. So I think that's a bonus to us. You know, when you see marketing's down every month, well, they're going to be down every month if your placements are down every month and you don't have the cattle to sell. So that figure I don't pay a lot of attention to right now. But when you consistently have lower placements, eventually that's got to catch up in this market, or at least it's going to give us a pretty good floor on this market.
With the crop now in the ground, what's your outlook for corn prices?
Great question, because there's a lot of confusion, a lot of consternation there too, because the corn that got in looks outstanding, but there's a lot of acres that didn't get planted. You know, I think last week in the crop progress report, Missouri's only 50% planted soybeans, and we're staring July dead in the eyes. Do I care about soybeans for my operation? No, not really, but you know, it all counts. We're just in that situation, Jeff, where we've created demand for our product through ethanol and other things that we need a big crop, so you don't have a lot of room for error, but 1 bushel too many is 1 bushel too much, and it just seems like you're on either side of that deal, and right now we don't know what side of that we're going to be on. Right now I think there's a possibility we feed sub $3 corn this fall.
Your outlook for prices for cattle now as we move into summer?
I think as we go into fall, numbers are going to be a little bit shorter. I think we work this thing back up into the 150s. Maybe we can get back up into in the mid 150s. Maybe we can get back up to 160. We've got to have a little help from the consumer, but I think we can get there. I think we're going to be fine as we go forward. I think you're going to see big calf numbers this fall. So if you see big calf numbers and you start to see placements come back because of availability of feeder cattle, then next spring's not going to be as good as it's been the last couple.